So I'm an anthropology major, and I tend to find that people think that anthropology and archaeology are the same thing. Is this true? No. Do I have to deal with it? Yes. Is my attempt in this video to clarify things? Yes. So without further ado, let's get into it. So for anyone that might be new here, hello, my name is Alivia Brown and I am currently a fourth year undergraduate student at UCLA studying anthropology. And today, I'm going to be clarifying exactly what those differences are between anthropology and archaeology. I was looking this stuff up on YouTube trying to see if there's videos out there already, and there really aren't that many, so it just seemed like the right thing to be talking about this week. So now let's jump into that first big difference. So for anyone who may not know this already, anthropology is actually a broader field than archaeology is. So much so that archaeology is actually a subdiscipline of anthropology. So anthropology and archaeology can't be the same thing because archaeology is actually a more specific version of anthropology. So on to the next point. Archaeology is actually the study of past humans, while anthropology tends to be the study of past and present humans. I think a lot of people are relatively familiar with the traditional concept of anthropology. You have anthropologists like Malinowski who went to the Trobriand Islands and did observation of the people there. You have anthropologists like Margaret Mead who went to Samoa and observed the people there. Those two anthropologists are examples of studying humans and human cultures in the present context. They go and they're trying to get an understanding of the nature of that culture right now. Now, this is something that is definitely still happening. Anthropologists certainly travel all around the world to try to get a realistic understanding of what cultures are doing right now. But at the same time, anthropology has expanded to a lot more than just this traditional idea where we go to some part of the world that we're unfamiliar with to understand a specific culture there, right? You can look at digital culture, what's happening online right now. You can look at your local community. You can look at people that you, in fact, are a part of that community. There's a lot of things that this could be, but the point is, anthropology often, not always, often looks at present cultures. Now, archaeology, you guys know what archaeology is. We're digging things up from the past. And so if you're digging up like a cup or a bowl or part of a home or something like that, it's telling us what happened that many years ago. And it doesn't really inform us about what's happening right now. It does, though, inform us about how we got to where we are right now, which is really amazing and actually helps us strengthen that relationship between archaeology and anthropology. Now, that second point is very closely related to this third point, and that is that archaeology studies humans through past material culture, whereas anthropology studies humans through modern observation. Now, this is different from the second point because it has a lot more to do with the actual research methods, not the timeline necessarily. So material culture, for anyone who may not know already, I'll do a really brief definition, is basically the physical items that get left behind in the archaeological record. We look at those, we look at that material culture and not only try to understand what it is, right? Like, is that, like I said before, is that a cup? Is that a part of someone's home? But we also look at the meaning that's conveyed through that item and what that item might have meant to the people who used it. Now, anthropology studies modern humans through observation, not the material culture that we find. And I'm saying observation, and this is kind of a dicey one because anthropology is so broad and gets conducted in so many different ways. But for the sake of argument and for the sake of this explanation, we're just going to stick with observation, where you have anthropologists that go to a community. You could have a focus group. You could kind of stand in the back and just observe what's going on. And you're trying to understand what's happening there. What's the dynamic? Who's who? All that stuff. So finally, we have this fourth and final difference, which is actually a pretty big one. And that is that anthropology also has this element of trying to solve modern human issues, where archaeology really only helps us to understand issues of the past. Now, obviously, by digging up remains and digging up material culture, there's not a lot that can do for us to then change current practices, right? Like, that doesn't really help us, but it is good to understand the kinds of issues that people have had in the past, right? Because that can inform other kinds of knowledge. But anthropology has this undercurrent of trying to figure out why people act the way they do, and then how we can actually use that information to help with maybe informing policy or creating or maybe making health resources more accessible, these kinds of things. One really great example of this is medical anthropology. I personally believe that medical anthropology does the best job of making change in the world. But if you're looking at how maybe a specific community is impacted by disease, once we understand how that community is impacted by disease and maybe why certain people are more prone to disease, we can use that information and say, hey, politicians or whoever, look at this information that we found. How can you use that to then change the health outcomes of different people? And I think that's pretty fantastic. So that's one main difference between anthropology and archaeology. And that's that there's active efforts to change people's lives for the better within anthropology, whereas archaeology is really just informative and helps us understand the people of the past. Now, that's actually all I have to say on the differences between anthropology and archaeology. They're both fantastic. Archaeology is actually a part of anthropology, so in some ways they have a lot in common. If you guys have any other questions about anthropology or archaeology or honestly anything else, just leave that in the comment section down below. I love talking to you guys down there. It's probably my favorite part about uploading these videos every week. And yeah, thank you so much to everyone for liking, commenting, subscribing, watching these videos to the end. It truly helps me out so much, and it's just so lovely to see so many new people around here, and of course, so much appreciation for everyone who's been here for a while. So yeah, I will see everyone next Sunday as always, and I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. All right, you guys. Bye.